Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode number 51 of Fraternity Foodie. My name is Mike Ayalon, and I am the CEO of Greek University. We call these episodes Fraternity Foodie because there is nothing like great food to bring people together. Our guest today is Claire Petrie. She was born and raised in one of my favorite spots in the whole world, Buffalo, New York area. She's currently living and working there today. She's also a Bills and a Sabres fan. I know she likes the Rangers too, but we won't talk about that. She is a talent acquisition and HR pro. She's currently creating the talent acquisition vision, strategy, and process at a company called Unify. So we're going to learn a little bit more about this company here coming up in these questions. But welcome to the show, Claire.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun. I'm glad to be here.
We're so glad to have you. I'm so glad to share you with all the college students all across the United States of America. It is an honor, and I know this is going to be really helpful for all of them and some of the new professionals out there that are trying to get jobs, internships, whatever. This is going to be really, really valuable. So I'm really excited about today. Now let's get right into the questions. You chose the University at Buffalo for your undergraduate degree, just like me. I'm a huge fan. So why did you choose UB, and why do you continue to give back to the university by speaking at conferences and meetings to share all of your experiences?
Yeah, so I love how we both have that in common. So I can't wait to get into it a little bit more. I love giving back to UB. Like you said, I'm born and raised here in Buffalo. I went to Amherst High School. So when college time came, I just did early decision to UB, honestly. It was just kind of the main school I'd heard about. And I actually really wanted to go to a bigger university because I'm the type where the more people you know, I just loved being out in the community and volunteering. And I was like, there's going to be more people and more opportunities to meet folks and get exposure to different activities and things while I'm there. So I knew it would be a good fit. I decided on the school management, which was great. I still have so many, friends and everything from that school. However, at the time, the HR program was maybe like 5 students, and I was one of them. And I don't remember there even being a student SHRM chapter, Society for HR Management. If there was, I wasn't a part of it or didn't know about it. So I love giving back to the students now because SHRM Club is now up to like 20 members, I think. Every time I speak there, they have a really engaged group. And I don't remember having somebody that was a young professional like me telling me about LinkedIn or networking or just the HR world in general. So they're always really energized, and I can come in and helping to give them a kickstart that I kind of wish I hadn't found out about networking and LinkedIn and stuff later on. They find really helpful. So it's just really energizing for me to help them see things that I wish I had earlier.
I love that answer. And I feel the same way about Greek University and some of the speakers that we have too. I wish that there was a company like Greek University out there to help support these students. When I was an undergrad, there really was no resource like that. And even these fraternity foodie interviews, it's a goldmine of information. And I'm thinking back to when I was an undergrad, there wasn't that kind of direction. There wasn't that kind of resource for people to figure out how I can be a better student, how I can be a better citizen, how I can give back to my community in Western New York. There really wasn't all of that stuff, right? So we've come a long way, and I'm grateful that you're giving back because that is just amazing. I'm sure the students really appreciate you coming back and speaking to them. Tell me, where did this passion of yours to find perfect matches between people and companies, where did that come from?
Yeah, I love this question because I think it's a fun story and it kind of comes from a combination of things. But both of my parents were organizational development consultants with their own company. So growing up, I was hearing the HR like dinner table talk and helping them put together training manuals and things like that. So I'd always kind of heard a little bit about HR. And then the first job I ended up getting in high school was I worked at the SPCA serving Erie County doing adoptions. And I ended up working there for like 6 years, all through college. And being in the adoptions department, you really are kind of like a recruiter for people and their new furry family members. So I didn't know that obviously at the time, but it was so interesting obviously interacting with the general public every single day, with people having different levels of education and experience, owning pets, some obviously individual folks, some families, some had pets before, some hadn't. So I was really listening to their current situation and then recommending who, being the animals in the shelter, they should spend time with, and then consulting them through the paperwork and kind of staying involved even a little bit afterwards to answer questions if they called and things like that. So then when I got my first actual business internship in college doing HR, I really gravitated toward recruiting because I realized when people got, when I helped them get that dream position, it was the same reaction I was getting from my adopters. They were so happy. They felt so fulfilled. They were like, this is a good fit for me and like my current situation. And I just like feed and thrive off of that energy. I get so excited about it. So through learning about HR kind of early on and then honing those, I guess, like customer service and kind of consultation skills. And then when I landed in my first internship, I was like, I think recruitment is a good fit for me. So, so it's kind of a few different things, but I'm glad I was able to figure it out.
That's awesome. I really love how you kind of took something that you were passionate about in terms of adoptions and animals and turned that into a career, albeit a little bit different, right? Certainly you're dealing with human beings as opposed to pets today. But I just love that you chased what you were passionate about and that eventually turned into something bigger. And I think that's an important message in itself for university students to go out and be engaged, try different things, and who knows where that might lead, right?
Yeah, and that's why I'm so passionate about talking to students about transferable skills as well, because I'm sure you hear that question too. They're like, I got the opportunity to be an administrative assistant or do filing, and like, I don't know if I want to do that because that's not relevant to the field I want to be in. And I'm like, just do it, really, because you'll figure out which of those skills you're going to use from that role to the future role you want to get to, or you'll learn what you don't want to do. But yeah, I had 3 cats and a dog at the time I had adopted from the SPCA. My family had, and got this opportunity for a part-time job, and I was like, yeah, it's not really related to business, but I should do it. And I learned a lot. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
I love it. That's perfect. So you're now working for Unifrax as the Senior Manager, Global Talent Acquisition Operations. So my first question is, what does Unifrax do? And are you currently looking to fill any positions even now during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, so Unifrax, we're a specialty materials development and manufacturing company, headquartered in Buffalo, New York. Our bread and butter is our ceramic fiber material, which we say makes the world greener, cleaner, safer. So primarily our ceramic fibers are used in emission control, filtration, and fire protection application. So a lot of just insulation. It's very heat resistant material to keep assets and people safe from those situations. So luckily, a lot of our products are still in high demand when it comes to the energy storage and filtration and things like that. So they're keeping us afloat right now during COVID, whereas the consumer automotive side and the emission control isn't kind of business as usual as we would have hoped right now. So for my team, hiring, unfortunately, just isn't what it usually is right now. So until business conditions kind of go back to normal. But in the meantime, we're just working on kind of process improvement and projects within HR and recruiting.
Got it. Got it. All right. That's very
Yeah.
helpful. Now, I have
Yeah.
so many friends, I have coworkers, even today's college students that I speak to almost on a
Mhm.
weekly basis. They seem to shy away from using social media for networking. So, why is using social media important in advancing your career?
Yes, and if you don't mind, I'll share a quick story to start us off on that one. Because I personally didn't even use LinkedIn and Twitter actively until 2017. Like I said, I didn't even know about it really in college or why I should use it. So for me in 2017, I was in a challenging HR, what we say DOO, Department of One position. So I was the only HR partner for over 350 hourly staff. And I feel like to get involved with kind of online networking, there has to be some sort of personal motivation there. Otherwise, folks, don't want to do it or don't see the value in it, which is fine. But for me, I was craving more learning and professional development because I was the only HR person. And I really missed connection because I'd always worked in a company prior where I was one of many HR people on the team. So I turned to Twitter one day in 2017. I can't even remember what I posted now, but I know I used just the general HR and human resources hashtags. 2 guys responded, Keith and Paul, that I've since met at in person in SHRM conferences, and they're now like two great friends I stay in touch with today. But they introduced me to SHRM's Twitter chat, #NextChat, like LinkedIn groups, just this world of engaged HR people on social media that I didn't know existed. And to kind of what you said earlier, it was like a gold mine. I was like, oh my God, like I need to get involved. I need to tell more people about this. So by basically putting myself out there and starting to post and engage more intentionally on Twitter and LinkedIn, opportunities came to me that I felt I would have never had otherwise. Like SHRM sending me to the annual conference as a blogger, so paying my way to go, interviewing speakers and vendors, and being able to network with 20,000 people from around the world, things that I just didn't think would happen. So that's why I'm so passionate now to tell other students on how to get involved professionally and use social media to help them in their careers, as opposed to just venting and some of the other things we use social media for. There actually is an engaged professional world out there.
I love it. Now, I know what networking looks like when COVID-19 is not around, right? We have these business meetings, you get to meet a bunch of new people, a bunch of different companies, etc. But what about now? Because we really can't get together in large groups. So what kind of networking opportunities exist today through social media?
Yeah, so I know I briefly just mentioned it with Twitter chats, but there's a few I can think of off the top of my head that students, specifically in business or HR, might want to check out. But there's #JobHuntChat, which is every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. There's #HR Social Hour, which is so cool. That's the second and fourth Sundays of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern. So Twitter chats are a great way, obviously, to learn. So it's both professional development. Other folks are sharing their answers to whatever questions are posed by the account, and networking, of course. I, again, got to meet so many people who have the jobs that like I aspire to be in someday and have the skills that I want to learn. And obviously I've been out of school for a while, but I think that's a lesson that we all kind of still engage with, whether you're a student or a professional, that the online networking world is a great way to meet people that, you know, you aspire to be and want to learn from. So by engaging with them on social is a great way to do that. And then, as we know with LinkedIn, when it comes to online networking, it's kind of like a snowball effect. So someone in your network likes someone else's post that you're not connected to, but it shows up in your news feed. And then I think it's up to you, obviously, to determine what to do with that to turn that into a networking or professional development opportunity. So I always talk to the students about curating their LinkedIn networks, or their news feeds, LinkedIn news feeds, excuse me, because sometimes I get the question where I log in, you know, it's all junk. Like, do I even need to use my LinkedIn? It's more like Facebook now or whatever. So I love to tell students about how important it is to curate that news feed too. So if you see something in your news feed that's useful, leave a thoughtful comment on it or like it at the minimum. If it's not valuable or not useful, or you feel it's more like Facebook material, hide that post, because you need to give LinkedIn that feedback so they can help give you a more useful news feed. So in terms of networking, you know, on LinkedIn, I think it starts with kind of following maybe some of those bigger influencers, you know, follow them, engage with their content, and then certainly add any of your professors or other students in your clubs or any of those professionals that come and speak on campus, you know, connect with them, see what they're posting. So just kind of take that step to get started, and then that snowball effect will happen where you'll get introduced to other professionals just from what's coming up in your feed.
That's really great information, specifically curating your feed on LinkedIn. You're the first person that I've heard that actually has talked about that particular technique. And it's so important to finding value in that feed, because if you're not giving LinkedIn that feedback, how do they know what to show you? They really don't have any mechanism to know what's good, what's not good. So I love that. I think that's a great suggestion. And you're the first person I've heard that from. So I appreciate that a lot. You also mentioned professional development in your answer. And I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm, you know, totally all about that, going back to school to get my master's degree, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. So what kind of professional development opportunities exist online through social media?
Yeah, so I guess piggybacking off of like the chats, LinkedIn groups, just kind of thoughtfully commenting and engaging with others' posts in your LinkedIn feed. I'll definitely add LinkedIn learning courses. I'm a big proponent of those, and telling the students about those as well. Obviously, from a professional development standpoint, you're actually learning something by signing up for this course. Let me backtrack for a second and just say you get a free 30 days to sign up for LinkedIn Learning. If you haven't signed up already, you can take advantage of the free month. And then most of the courses I found are 30 to 60 minutes. So it's not a huge time investment. So not only are you learning something, but once you complete the course, you can add the course to your profile. So that's also awesome, because if you're, a student who wants to be maybe a marketing manager someday or something, but you don't have any of that experience to list in your profile, it'll at least show up, under those certification section. So you're more likely to come up in search results when recruiters or whoever are looking for marketing people, and it shows you're committed to professional development. You took the time to take that course, learn new skills. So that's probably just one of my other favorite things I recommend that they try, because it's just not too much of a time investment. I know we all have really short attention spans these days, so it can be hard to dedicate that in addition to schoolwork and trying to get used to remote learning and all that stuff. But I think it's a great tool for folks to just go and check out.
LinkedIn Learning certifications. You heard it here first. The first 30 days are free, no downside. It's great. I love that answer. All right, so talk to us about this concept of personal branding on social media. I do see that a lot of the college students that I'm working with, they seem to have a pretty branded Instagram account and things like that. So what is this concept of personal branding? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way I explain it to the students and clients that I work with is pretty basic, because I'm not from a marketing background. So when I first started seeing personal branding buzzwords, I didn't really know what it meant either. So the way I like to explain it is, I ask students to think about their favorite brands like Starbucks or Apple or things like that, and what words come to mind, whether it be bright, fun, reliable, things like that. And then, you get those thoughts about your brands, whether you see their name or see their logo. So same goes with your LinkedIn headshot. When people see your headshot or your name, what do you want kind of to come to mind first? So the way I explain it is just how showing up online is a great way to share your personal brand and your authentic self, so that when you get to meet people in person at networking events, I know we obviously can't do that a lot now, but one of the best compliments I feel like I can get, and what I've heard other students say as well, is that when someone meets you at a networking event and they're like, wow, you're just like how you were interacting with on LinkedIn. I feel like that's a great compliment, because that's what the tool's for. It's just to assist you. It's not supposed to take the place of those kind of in-person, personal connections. But if you, connect with someone on LinkedIn before, they're going to be at a career fair on campus or something like that, and just send a quick connection note, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the fair. They're much more likely to recognize you when you walk up and shake their hand. They can read a little bit about you, try and hear your personality through your summary section on your profile, things like that. So I think it's your personal brand is just kind of that online name and photo, and what do you want people to think about when they see those things?
That's a really good answer. Excellent. What is this concept of social selling? Many people in my network are just not really comfortable with a hard sell approach, no matter what product or service they're offering. So I'm curious, what does social selling look like to you?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So social selling to me is really just using social media to sell. So I learned about this when I worked in staffing at Remedy Staffing. They were a manufacturing recruitment agency. And even though I was using my HR and recruiting background to empathize with my clients and kind of build relationships, because they know I had been in their shoes in prior roles, I had to learn a little bit more about the sales piece too, being in staffing. So luckily it's kind of easy to pick up if you're used to already kind of using social media, because it's really based in that people do business with who they like and trust, right? So if they can see you on LinkedIn and get an idea of your personality and what it would be like to work with you when that time does come where you're asking for the sale or trying to do business with them, they're just much more likely to say yes than if the relationship started based off a cold call or something outside of social media. So I think it's just giving your network, again, like a taste of your personality. I know there's been a lot of research and articles done out there that just say like sales and sales are more likely to close if the lead was started on a social platform than through another method. So it's really just, again, showing up online and being authentic. And then especially if sales is part of your profession and your business, it's going to be easier for you if you obviously have that human aspect, and people can get a sense of just who you are, and they don't first meet you when you're trying to talk about your product or something like that.
Got it. All right, very
Yeah.
good. Now, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, you see these jobs reports that are coming out every single week, and they don't look very good. I think the next jobs report is probably going to be even worse than the one that we just got. So how can people find new opportunities for jobs right now during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, it's tough for sure, but I've seen some new efforts, come out of it so far that I think are helpful. Again, on the HR side, because I work in HR, I just know a little bit more about it, but there's a new Slack channel that's popped up since COVID-19, where HR folks from across the country are either, if they're hiring or been laid off and looking for a job, every day are sharing really good information and job openings in that channel. So if that interests anyone, just send me a connection request on LinkedIn with a note and I can share that link. Another great way to find out about openings is professional affiliation groups, like the local SHRM chapter and things like that. Even though we're not, again, going to in-person networking events where you can meet people, we're still holding our meetings over Zoom. And we're also still posting, updates on job openings on our website and things like that. So again, it comes down to the online networking piece, especially in this really hard time of COVID-19. I feel like job seekers will have to do at least one extra step from that online apply. So that might be, to attend that virtual networking group or send that recruiter a connection request note on LinkedIn. Because it might just be a little bit harder due to maybe all the folks looking for jobs. So I think the professional affiliation groups, just different Slack channels or LinkedIn groups. I've also just subscribed to like the LinkedIn blog and other like HR tech vendors that have blogs that weekly keep track of what companies have posted the most openings that week. I've seen that's kind of a new popular topic that people are pushing out, like who's hiring the most this week, who has openings. So that's why, again, I think having your profile be active and highlighting those transferable skills will help, because if you need to move into something else for the time being based on what jobs are available, hopefully your skills and things are already highlighted.
That's really good. I've noticed that LinkedIn has started to really highlight those companies that have a ton of open positions on LinkedIn and kind of bump them up the list. So that LinkedIn, I think, has been doing a really good job on staying on top of this. So definitely check that out. Over on the right side of your LinkedIn page, usually you can see some of those top stories, and that's where I learn about the companies that are hiring the most right now. So that's really good stuff. So let's assume that we have somebody who's listening here. They just got an interview. They applied for the job, they got the interview, and it's coming up. So what interviewing tips can you share with our audience? Because right now, so many interviews are being done online in a Zoom conference like this, which is very different than
Yeah.
what you and I are accustomed to. So what are your
Yeah.
tips to doing an interview online?
Yeah, it is very different. The first one I'll say is kind of trying to remain having the best eye contact that you can, which is even like challenging for me right now, right? Because you're actually a little bit farther over this side on my screen than like where my camera is. So I'm like looking, I'm trying to engage with you, but I want to engage, with the audience and the camera as well. So being, mindful of that, kind of like you would in person, keeping engaged with that energy and that eye contact. So just trying to be a little bit more aware of that. Especially for students, dressing the part. Some employers do send out information ahead of time on their, I don't want to say dress code per se, but just like recommended interview attire, I guess. But those that don't, I always still say err on the side of dressing professionally and have a blazer worn for your video interview. And then do kind of what you would do in an in-person interview as well. So feel free to have that notebook there. Tell the interviewer, you're just going to be taking some notes while they're chatting to make sure you can follow up with some great questions, things like that. But just don't type. I had that happen recently where someone was typing the whole time I was talking with them on the interview. It was obviously very distracting. And I was like, you wouldn't have your computer if you were in an in-person interview. So even though we do have all this great tech available to us. Just trying to be as engaged in the moment, if you were seeing that person in person.
That's a great tip. I never really thought about that, because even just the tapping on the keyboard is so distracting. You hear that on the other side of the Zoom call and you must be like, all right, enough with the
Yeah.
tapping, right? It's
Yeah,
driving me nuts.
exactly. Yeah. That was a new one, but I get it. You're trying to be efficient and take down information, but in that case, again, like you would in person, to stay more engaged, it's fine to take paper notes. So
I love it. That's a really, really
yeah.
good tip. I love it. So we love to eat great food here at Fraternity Foodie. I don't think that is a secret to any of our listeners. So number
Yep.
one, most important question for somebody who lives in Buffalo, what is the best wings place in Buffalo? And what is your favorite place to eat that's not a wings place?
So I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but Franco's is my favorite for pizza and wings. So I feel like if I don't say Duff's, I don't know, I might have people coming for me or something, but I think Franco's does great pizza and wings. Luckily, there's a location not too far from my house. They have super quick delivery and always great customer service in my experience. So that plays a part into it too. My newest favorite restaurant is Two Forks Up in Gatsville. I actually had not heard of them until before quarantine. Step Out Buffalo put out a really good blog post of all the restaurants that are doing, curbside pickup and order ahead and things like that. And, I was looking, for some different dinner options. So I found Two Forks Up, and I love their lobster roll. And I've also gotten their steak entree, which was really good. So that's been a new favorite and a positive, I think, that's come from this. I'm always trying to look on the bright side, that I've been trying some new restaurant food options.
Yeah, I love those online articles or whatever highlighting businesses and restaurants that have food to go, that are
Mm-hmm.
prepared to serve food, and we got to
Yep.
support them. I mean, I was thinking about my favorite restaurant here in Nashville, and just this past weekend we ordered to go food, and I'm like, we have to support them. If we don't, they're not going to be here when this is all said and done. We got to do whatever we can
Yeah.
to send them some money, so that way they don't lay off staff and they don't close down.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So when I find something good, I try to at least, do a couple orders and help out.
Totally, totally. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Claire, where can people go to connect with you on social media and to learn more about the different services that you offer?
Yeah, so I also have my own business. I'm the president of Petrie HR and Training. So I primarily work with companies, employee resource groups within those companies, specifically when they want to increase employee advocacy. So having more involvement from their employees on LinkedIn to boost themselves kind of personally and professionally. And I also do one-on-one calls as well with those folks, again, looking to boost their online presence, not sure where to start. They need to optimize their profiles. So they're trying to reach some sort of goal, and being active online can help them get there, but it's just kind of putting together that plan. So my website is just clairepetriehr.com, and my LinkedIn and Twitter handles are right up at the top as well.
That's perfect. So Claire is Claire. Her last name is Petrie, but it's spelled Petrie, and that's
Yes.
hr.com. So definitely go and
Yep.
check out her website. Get in touch with Claire. Claire, you are an absolute rock star. I'm so happy that we got a chance to spend a
Thanks,
little
Mike.
time together. Hey, it's my pleasure. And hey, I'm always looking to support UB grads and UB students. So, whatever I can do to help Western New York and your business and Unifrax and everything that's going on in Western New York, I'm going to do everything that I can, because the God's honest truth is the best people in the world live in Western New York. That is the God's honest truth.
Love
I
it.
had to move different places, for work and other things. The economy when I graduated back in 1997 was not the greatest in Western New York. It was a difficult
Mm,
time. And then I had to
yeah.
move to New York City for work. So unfortunately I had to leave, but it pained me to leave all of these amazing, amazing people behind in Western New York. And I'm like, if I could just take all of them and move them to New York City, then we can all have like a big party. And but it didn't work out. Unfortunately, many of them stayed there, and I do go back
Yeah.
often to visit, so I do miss Buffalo quite a bit. But
I-
happy to hear that you're doing well, that you're successful, and please stay in touch. And to all of our listeners, if you found value in Claire's talk today, please like and share this with others that might be looking for new positions. people might be looking how to network online or how to get new professional development opportunities. There was some great knowledge that was dropped here today. So Claire, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. If I can mention just one more thing, I forgot to bring up the hashtag students of LinkedIn. So that's another big thing I just like to put a plug out there for. I check the hashtag every couple days, and there are recruiters out there posting in-mail templates, that work that they would respond to. So helping students reach out to recruiters. Professionals are hosting free office hours for students, again, webinars, podcasts, like this being shared. So just had to do a quick mention on that too. Very helpful hashtag on LinkedIn.
That's very helpful. A lot of important information shared here today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to our listeners. We'll see you on the next episode of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.